going to give you the very simple walkthrough on how to move to Florida, specifically if you are working like me from home. Let's get to it. Hello beautiful people, if you don't know this face, my name is Martha and I am a realtor in Florida specializing in the Tampa Bay and surrounding areas. And I made this channel because when I moved to Florida back in 2016 from Michigan, I had no idea what I was getting into, didn't have any information out there. So I'm trying to save you a lot of time and energy looking out there, those tips, those tricks, those answers to your questions, and have them all right here on my channel. Make sure you do subscribe and comment any questions that you may have. The thing you should do before anything is evaluating your current situation. So what does that mean? It means figuring out if you are in where you currently are, if you are even in a position that you can move to Florida. So what does that look like? That looks like, how's your credit? Have you been working on your credit? Is your credit good? And good can mean very different things to many people, but standard good would be around maybe a 640, 620. And it also depends if you're looking to get any sort of down payment assistance and things like that. Make sure that you have your credit at least in a good or very close to number. Next thing with that would be your finances. How are your finances looking? Have you been saving up money for a house the last few years? Have you been growing your bank account, or is there a very limited amount of money in that account already to begin with? And I don't say this to be rude or anything, but relocating to Florida already costs a lot of money. So buying a house costs a lot of money. So before you go ahead and you do those two big things, we want to make sure that we are prepared and ready for it, okay? Another thing with that would be your employment. Have you been with your current employer for at least a year? A lot of times, most plans, most loan programs need you to be 2 years, but there are some newer options out there that if you only have 1 year in employment, there might be a little bit of wiggle room that we can do to get you approved. And lastly, just make sure that since you are working remote, that you have the permission that you can really work from anywhere, because I do know some companies are partially remote or temporarily remote, and that can be a little bit of a tricky situation to get into. The next step would be a very obvious one, but a lot of people do not want to hear this. You need to get pre-approved. And I know what you're thinking, Martha, I make money, I have money in my bank account, I have good credit, I've been at my job for a long time. Why do I still need to get pre-approved? In all honesty, number one, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. I wish it was easier, but it's, it's what it is. And number two, it's to save us all time. Let me tell you what the opposite of doing that is. You get excited looking at homes online, right? And you say, you know what, let's go ahead and plan down a trip to come to Florida and see this house in person. I just really like this house. You're gonna be spending money on, your airplane tickets, probably staying in an Airbnb or a motel or a hotel or something, and the gas, the rental car. You're spending a lot of money to come down here to see that house, right? So then you come see that house, oh my gosh, it's even more beautiful in person. You wanna put in an offer, but now you have to figure out what lender you're gonna work with, where your taxes are, where your 30 days pay stub is. You're gonna have to get all those documents and orders, and almost all the time, you're gonna lose out on that house because there was a more ready and prepared buyer that came in and just took the opportunity. So I'm really trying to save you the money from traveling down here without being ready and all the things that are connected to that. So please, I'm trying to help you get pre-approved. And then the worst thing that can happen if you get pre-approved is that you find out what you have to fix if anything does come up. Or another option is you get pre-approved and you actually get pre-approved for a higher amount that you thought you could get, or sometimes you actually get pre-approved for less. And that's another problem, because if you get pre-approved for $400,000, but all the homes that you keep looking at are in the $600,000 range, that's going to be a problem. Because even if you wanted to put in an offer, you won't, because we have to put that pre-approval with the offer. So I have some great tips to help you save a lot of time and effort in this whole buying and relocating process. But the next step would be is to kind of narrow down the areas that you want to be in. because Florida is a big state. And I feel like the best way to kind of narrow it down, obviously, if you can visit, is look into what price range you can get in those different areas. For example, if your price range is in the 600,000s and you want a pool, backyard, 2-story, you know, updated, look at what you can get for that price range in different places and see which one's the best one for you. For example, if you want to look at the Tampa Bay area, Tampa Bay itself is a pretty big area. So maybe narrow it down. Maybe you want to see, I like Clearwater, I want to be close to the beach. And maybe St. Pete would be a good option because there's a lot of things to do close to the beach and not too far from Tampa. So really think about the different areas, and there's tons of videos on my channel to help you figure out what area works for you. And then after that you decide what area, you can actually come down here, meet with me, and I can actually show you in person what these homes look like. And that will give you a way better understanding of the real estate market over here, because again, one thing is to look at it in person and the other thing is to look at it through super high edited real estate photos. After getting your finances in order, after getting pre-approved, after narrowing down what area you want to be in, now you found what area you want to be in. Let's use, for example, Clearwater. You love Clearwater, you love the beach, you love the vibe, and you are ready to come down here and celebrate New Year's at the beach, right? Without a winter coat. And you want to know, what do you do next, right? So now we need to talk about the type of closing that you want to do. Let's say you found a home that checks off all your boxes, it's beautiful, perfect, yada, yada, yada. Now, once we have this conversation, I'm going to ask you, okay, great. Let's say you're in person here, right? And you want to put in an offer on that house, right? ABC 123 Main Street. That's the example everybody always gives. Let's say you came to Clearwater for a 1-week trip and you fell in love with this house. You're already pre-approved. You say, Martha, I really like this house. I think this one might be the one. Let's go ahead and put in an offer. So then I'm going to ask you, okay, perfect. So I know you're here for a limited amount of time. How do you want me to address the inspection period? And if you're a first-time home buyer, this might seem a little bit confusing, but I'll try to break it down as simple as possible. If you are the type of buyer that you're going to be in town looking at homes, then it depends on how your work schedule would be in terms of the inspection period. Simple terms. In the contract, it shows how many days you have for inspection, right? We always try to negotiate it for my out-of-state buyers to try to get a little bit more time just for them to arrange their schedules. But let's say we put 10 days. In those 10 days, you have the inspector go out there and double check everything is good with the home, and you also have that window of time to back out of the sale for whatever reason if you decided that it's not a good fit for you. This is what some people do. They will either A, fly back down and be there for the physical inspection, which you do not have to be there because I'm always there if you're not able to make it. And what we do is we just FaceTime the inspector, ask any questions, and once we have the report, which is gonna be like a big old document, you're gonna see it and freak out. Just a heads up, the inspector's job is to make sure they find stuff wrong with the house. So do not freak out. Let's say that you are not able to fly back in. You say, Martha, I already took off this whole week to come here. I cannot come next week, which is what most people, their situation is, because it's hard. Again, you have to pay for your ticket, your plane ticket. You have to pay for the hotel, maybe a rental car. It's a lot. It's a lot. So that's why I try to help you know your options when it comes to relocating. So let's say you came down, you're in Clearwater, you got pre-approved, you saw a home that checks off all your boxes, you put in an offer. Then we're gonna try to negotiate a longer inspection period to have time to get an inspector out there and check everything. And you're not able to make the inspection, but yours truly will be there. I will FaceTime you while I'm at the property, and you can ask any questions you may have directly to the inspector. So that's one option. Another option, which is completely backwards, is that some people say, I want you to go see the houses for me. And if it's something that we both know is a good fit for us, I will come down for the inspection. So what does that look like? That looks like me going to those homes that we are emailing each other, and I do a video, just like a YouTube video. I send you a private link to that video, and then you can see the walkthrough of the whole house. Why is this so important? Because a lot of the homes, they're either, from my experience, some of them are catfish, and they look way better in the photos than in person. Some of them are the opposite. Some of them look way better in person than the photos, and some of them look just like the photos. So my job is to go out there and tell you, if it's a catfish or not, basically. And then after that, if this is the option that you decide to go with because of your schedule and everything, you will come down for the inspection period, see the house in person. This is very important. Make sure you like the house. And then we can do pretty much everything else remotely. Okay? So again, you have two options. Either you come down first and you see the house in person when you put in the offer. You do the inspection remotely if you can't make it, or backwards. You you find the house and we do the offer, and then you come down for the inspection. So offer remotely, inspection in person. Does that make sense? I'm trying to make it simple. I know it's a lot. All right, cool. So then right after that, there's another really important part of this that we need to figure out. Are you going to be coming down for the actual closing? Again, moving is a big deal. Moving can be stressful. So this is an option that I always like to offer to my clients, depending on their situation, is if you can, I recommend a remote closing. What is a remote closing? A remote closing basically means that a local notary will be contacted through the title company, and they would be the ones to go and meet with you and have you sign all those documents for the purchase of the home, and then they send back those documents. And then right after that, you get your keys maybe the next day. Sometimes it takes a little longer, so full disclosure, with the notary signings, sometimes you need like a day for the documents to get sent back and everything like that. It really depends on the location and how fast the notary is. But that's another option, and then you can come down right after that once everything is good, and you just meet with me and I give you your keys. Or you can come down for closing and just close at the title company. We do our little photos and everybody's happy. So again, I wanted to make this video because there's a lot of misconceptions as to how to properly relocate. There's a lot of tips and tricks out there to help you make that process way easier. But if you have any further questions, please make sure that you do get in touch with me. You can contact me at the number on the screen. And all I ask is that you just send me a little text. You say, hey Martha, just watched your video. I would love to get on a call with you to plan out my move. And I will send you a link to my calendar, and then we can schedule something. And I know that might not be the easiest way. The only reason I say this is because I want to dedicate my time to you. And if I'm driving, if I'm running around with other clients, it might be a little difficult. So an appointment on my calendar is always the best way to go. If you're not able to, just shoot me a text and I'll give you a quick call as long as we have opening on our schedule. If you enjoy this type of content, if you have any further questions, please go ahead and comment them down below if you like this type of videos. And make sure you check out my other videos about where to move to in Tampa Bay. As always, I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.